Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today. We're going to embark on this truly fascinating allegorical journey into the hidden meanings and really the deep moral lessons embedded inside Masonic symbolism. Specifically, we're exploring a classic story called Justice IX. It's this rich, super evocative piece of source material that uses powerful imagery to dive into accountability, integrity, and, well, the very foundation of human character. So, whether you're deeply familiar with these historical traditions or completely new to the whole shebang, you're going to find an incredible wealth of wisdom here. We're basically looking at how this story visualizes the ultimate battle between our highest ideals and our most common flaws. Let's get right into it. Okay, let's dive into this. What exactly happens when an esteemed brotherhood, or honestly any deeply connected community, just completely forgets its own fundamental rules? Like, what happens when the outward symbols of unity are still there, but the internal compass is totally broken? That's the exact mystery, the immediate crisis that our story opens with. And it's just such a profound question about institutional decay that sets our stage perfectly. The source text actually begins by painting a picture of this golden age. We're introduced to a Masonic Lodge from a bygone era, located right in the middle of a thriving town. And this wasn't just any lodge, right? It was renowned for the incredible expertise, the unmatched generosity, and the really deep camaraderie of its members. The structure itself was sturdy, their funds were plentiful, their standing in the community universally esteemed. So on paper, to the outside world, this was the absolute pinnacle of a successful, well-funded, and highly respected institution. But then, the foundation starts to crack. The outward symbols, they remained polished, sure, but a serious inward decay took root. Over time, members began to veer entirely off course from the core principles they'd actually learned during their initiation. Arrogance displaced humility. Personal ambitions started to, overshadow fraternal affection. And instead of clear communication, clarity just gave way to rumors and incomplete truths. The most striking detail from the text here is that they continued to meet under the noble emblem of the square and compass. But beneath those symbols, deep discord was manifesting. They had completely lost their way. Section 1. The Dream of Justice. So, following a particularly discordant lodge gathering, the worshipful master finds himself in solitary, heavy contemplation. He eventually drifts into a profound slumber. And in his dream, this figure appears. The vivid detail used to describe her is just awe-inspiring. She sits right between two imposing columns. She's wearing a crown that symbolizes wisdom, and she's draped in this heavy, deep blue garments. In her hands, she wields two incredibly powerful instruments, a sword and a set of scales. Oh, and right on her chest, a radiant star is adorned. Every single piece of this imagery is heavily coated with meaning, setting up what's going to be the ultimate moral reckoning. Curious, and let's be real, probably a bit overwhelmed, the master asks the figure who she represents. Her response is absolute. It's filled with gravity. She says, "I am justice, the often disregarded virtue pursued by every Mason on a quest for enlightenment." Think about the weight of those words for a second. She specifically notes that she is often disregarded. The very virtue they are all supposedly seeking is the exact one they've totally abandoned in their waking lives. Bowing respectfully, the master asks why she's appeared to him. In response, Justice raises her scales, and this brilliantly illustrates the central moral duality of our story. On one side of the scales, we see truth, integrity, and responsibility. Pitted directly against them on the opposing side are pride, silence, and selfishness. The text tells us that the equilibrium of the scales quivered. Justice explains a really hard truth right here. It is the conduct of a lodge's members, not its physical building, not its riches, and certainly not its fancy titles, that actually determines its true worth. Then, she brandishes her other tool. Let's actually shift into decoder mode here for a second to really understand this. The sword of justice isn't some instrument of physical violence. It's an allegorical tool of revelation. As Justice herself clarifies, this blade embodies truth. Its specific function is to slice right through deceit and illusion to unveil the inherent, naked realities of a person's actions. I mean, you literally cannot hide behind a title when this sword is drawn. Section 2. Weighing the deeds. Guided by Justice, the worshipful master is about to watch a terrifying, incredibly high-stakes evaluation, where the actual actions of his fractured brotherhood materialize right before his eyes. He observes closely as every brother's deeds are thrown onto the scales. And wow, the contrast is stark. Acts of genuine benevolence, they gleam on the scales like pure gold. Transparent financial dealings shine brightly. But then comes the heavy shadow of deceit. Unfulfilled pledges drop onto the scales, weighing them down heavily. Breached trust cast a dark, undeniable shadow over the whole proceedings. The transparent truths are actively, visibly warring against the heavy shadows of their recent discord. Watching this overwhelming display, the master starts to tremble. He asks a deeply human question. Is anyone exempt from this evaluation? Justice offers him a gentle smile and delivers a line of profound, somber gravitas. A Mason may dupe his peers temporarily, the world momentarily, yet he can never deceive the supreme architect. There are zero loopholes here. The ultimate truth of who you are and what you do is always seen. The very moment those words of absolute truth are spoken, the entire setting of the dream metamorphosis. Because the truth has finally been acknowledged, the divine order of the room is completely restored. The symbolic rough stone evolves perfectly into a flawless block. The imposing columns begin to radiate this beautiful celestial luminescence. And finally, the all-seeing eye materializes directly above them. Section 3. Decoding the Masonic Tools. Before this awe-inspiring vision fades away, Justice takes a moment to systematically decode the ancient instrument she leaves with the master. She breaks it down super clearly. The square, it's meant to guide our conduct. The level signifies our absolute equality before divine justice. And the plum indicates strict moral rectitude, or, uprightness. She warns that if you neglect these teachings, chaos ensues. So the crucial point is this. Faithfully living by these 3 specific tools is exactly what will bring back the harmony that the Brotherhood has lost. Section 4. A Temple of Integrity. We've finally reached the ultimate climax of our story, where the dream world quietly recedes back into the waking world. As the very first light of day appears, the vision begins to vanish, and the master wakes up. The intense vividness of justice and those quivering scales is gone, completely replaced by a quiet, incredibly evocative scene. He's alone in a deserted hall. The candles from that discordant meeting the night before have almost entirely burned out. Yet, anchoring his dream firmly back into his physical reality, a lone sunbeam shines right through the window, perfectly illuminating the square and compasses resting on the altar. From that moment on, whenever conflicts arose or emotions ran high in that lodge, the brethren recalled the teachings of justice. And here's exactly why this matters to you and me, the everyday application of this profound text. The overarching lesson is that any community's strength, whether it's your workplace, your family, your friend group, is exactly equal to the integrity of its members. Whether you are the absolute newest apprentice or the most senior master, you are continuously building an internal temple. A temple not crafted by human hands, but one rooted deeply in truth, upheld by virtue, and overseen by a higher standard of ultimate accountability. This is entirely about who you are when no one else is watching. The source text closes with a truly beautiful, resonant blessing that serves as an invaluable lesson for every traveling man. And honestly, for anyone navigating the everyday complexities of human relationships. It says, "May justice lead the actions, wisdom guide the thoughts, and brotherly love rule the emotions." It's just a perfect, balanced triad for living a life of quiet integrity. Actually, right before the master woke up, he asked Justice one final query. What is the most important teaching for a Mason? As she placed the scales on the altar, her final words were a direct challenge. So I want to leave you with this powerful, provocative thought to reflect on today. Are you merely striving for fair judgment in your life, or are you living in such a radically honest, deeply virtuous way that your very approach to life doesn't instill the fear of judgment in the first place? Think about that for a bit. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope this dive into the source material sparked your curiosity as much as it did mine. Keep learning and keep building your temple.